Love, love, love till I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Hello, welcome to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Luciana Gagliardi. Welcome, Luciana. How are you?
Really well, Geraldine. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. And I'd like to ask about your life. I know you've had a bit of a transformation, but could you tell us a little bit what you were like before that transformation?
I was probably insecure, lacking a little bit of confidence, and probably had a lot of fear.
Were you working at the time, and how? Tell me your family situation at the time.
Yeah, I was working, and I happened to be in a relationship at the time as well. And I have my own family, my two boys, and I just knew things had to change. But not only the external change, it was the internal change.
And what were you doing at the time? Were you working or studying, and how old were your children roughly?
The children would have been about probably 10 and 7 at the time, and working part-time. Studying, no, but, aspirations to do something different was there. Yeah.
So you were searching at this point in your life?
I believe so. I believe I was looking for something more than what I was doing. I knew there had to be some change and wasn't quite sure in what direction. But the first change was I needed to remove myself from the situation I was in. And it was one of the most difficult choices to make. It was not easy. And to confirm that choice, I asked God, why does this have to happen? And I remember one night walking, and it was dark, and it led me to a church, and then I realised that this has to happen because it's the beginning of a spiritual journey and the lessons that I needed to learn to be the person I am today.
Wow. So you, at the time, you weren't a church goer?
No.
But something inspired you to walk into the church?
Yes.
And when you did, what happened when you walked into the church?
I think I just felt that life was going to change and that a lot of things were going to be answered. And I knew that the journey wasn't going to be easy. It was going to be one of the most difficult journeys. And it was a matter of changing, and it's not easy to change. But I knew I had to do it. And in that process, I couldn't have imagined the things that I've learnt and the people I've met along the way.
Wow.
Have been incredible.
And when you were in the church, were you kind of like talking to God? Will you say you were communicating with God at the time, or was it intuition?
I have a lot of that. And I think He led me there because I was open to feeling and listening. Most people will stay in a situation because of fear or not listening to that intuition and gut feeling, but I did listen, and I gave up a lot. That was the sacrifice of giving up a very stable home environment, going somewhere where I didn't know where I was going to be, where I was going to live, what I was going to do. But I gave that up. It was almost what I would call the leap of faith. You just have to let go and trust that you will be taken care of, and that there's a reason that this needs to happen.
Wow. So you left something that wasn't working, but at least you were familiar with it, to try something new that you didn't know about.
That's right. It was secure. I knew I had a roof over my head, and when I made the choice to make a change, I didn't know where we were going to stay, where we were going to live.
Wow.
And I had 2 children.
Yes.
But I knew it was a journey I had to embark on.
Could you tell us the steps that occurred after you made that change? Like who came to help you in that big change where it sounds like you lost your home?
You call upon people that will help. But you know you're going to have to find a way to support yourself and be independent again. So obviously government resources is one of the things that helps. And just never giving up. Just know that there's a reason that this has to happen, and just find that strength within. But yeah, I mean, I just did. I gave up everything.
Wow. Yes, and what is your experience of God? What's his character like for you?
That is there, and you only just have to ask. You know, when I asked him, show me a sign of hope, you know, you get to the point where you're just so low that you think, can you go any lower? And you just ask, and it's there, and all of a sudden that little glimmer of hope. And for me, God is everywhere, through walking in the park and through the birds singing and through the sunshine, through the clouds, and I feel it and I smell it, and he's just everywhere. And that's the connection I have.
Yeah.
And I just know that he sends me just those little bits of hope. Keep going. You're okay. You're on the right path. So that's where it's at.
That's great. So nature has been something that you really feel God speaks to you.
Definitely.
And he's one of that you're saying that he's always there, like he's consistent, he's reliable, and he's faithful.
Yep.
Something that you very much needed when you were going through that rocky time.
He doesn't let go of you. It's just us, we let go of him. And he's always ready and willing to, and waiting for you just to look at him and not have your back facing him. And it doesn't promise an easy life. Definitely doesn't promise an easy life, but he's there if you need him.
And how were your children? How did they go? Were they okay with the change?
They're the most resistant two little kids, honestly. I think the challenges for them, they've learned at a very early age, and they will become very strong, sound adults.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's great, and what you're sharing, and that would inspire others. We need to go for a break now.
Thank you.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. Stay with us, and we'll be back after the break. Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Luciana Gagliardi. Hi, Luciana. Welcome back.
Hi, Geraldine. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you were talking about the transformation in the church, and what were some things that really happened after that?
There are a lot to mention, but one in particular stood out, and there was this urge to join a theatre group.
Drama theatre group?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And what was interesting is I thought it was a bit odd, but I did feel this sudden urge to just get into theatre, something that I was very passionate about, but never did anything. And at an age where I thought, oh, no, it's not going to happen, I'm too old. And I didn't know how I was going to get into a theatre group. I didn't know how to even approach to join a theatre group.
Wow.
So one thing kind of led to another, and voila, I'm in a theatre group.
And were your friends or family surprised?
No, not completely. I think over the years they could see something in me, and they were definitely not surprised.
So they thought you were a bit of a drama queen, did they?
Not so much a drama queen. I just love that entertainment sort of world, but there's a little bit more depth to it for me. It's not just about here I am, look at me. It's just there's some other elements that I needed to explore and share.
And was it scary, like joining? Did you join the chorus or principal role? How did you go?
The first play we did was not so much the main role, but the scariest thing wasn't so much getting on stage and singing and acting. It was discovering the things inside you. That's what was scary. And having to pluck out little bits of talents and skills that you didn't know you had. But, you know, it makes you very vulnerable to act in front of strangers and cast members, and, you know, if you have to act like an animal or something like that. It is. It's the vulnerability of it. That's what was scary. But that was also exhilarating as well.
How was it exhilarating?
Oh, just getting out away from the real world and just in some ways being like a child.
It's like play, is it?
It is. And the innocence of it, the whole, there's a beauty about it. So whatever woes you have at home, you could just put them aside and just be something else for that time. And that's a moment of therapeutic. Yeah, it was very therapeutic. But I really, really did enjoy getting into theatre. So
this theatre group helped create a accepting environment, would you call it, with a non-critical environment?
It's a non-judgmental and non-discriminating theatre group, and that's what made it feel very comfortable to join. There were a lot of new people, there were a lot of existing people, and, you know, I think what they were trying to do is really bring out the best in you.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And what role did you take on firstly?
Well, the play was called Call of Guadalupe, and I took on the role as Rita, Manuel's wife, and had to sing as well as act. So, and it was like the very first time I've ever done it. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah.
And did you know you could sing and act?
No.
Obviously having got a main role, you must have been able to sing and act. So did you know that you could?
Look, to be honest, I've always wanted to as a child, but whether I could is a different thing. It's like you can dream a dream, but doing it's completely different.
So it was like making your dream come true.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did you find that there were a lot of people to encourage you there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what about your faith? How did that take? Did you start going back to church, or what was kind of your experience?
I don't go to church regularly, but for me, my connection to God is stronger, and I just feel that, like I mentioned before, praying, but going for walks and just taking some time of solitude is really important to me, that there's just silence.
You're a spiritual person.
Very.
Yes, and you have a lot of Christian values like love, forgiveness,
absolutely,
healing.
I think, no, I won't say I think, I know that the good qualities in life are the only ones that are going to lead you to a great life. You've got kindness, you've got love, but most of all, you have to be that to yourself before you can be that to anyone else. You do have to be kind to yourself. You do have to love yourself. And you do have to forgive yourself for a lot of the wrongs that you may have done in your life. I just think that's where it really starts, from within.
Yeah, I suppose what you're saying to me is love your neighbour as you love yourself, which is from the Bible.
Yeah, and respect.
Yes.
Just have respect.
And I often remember that picture. I went to a talk where they said you can't love someone similar to if you were in a plane and the oxygen mask came out. If you put it on the children and everyone else, you'd end up falling apart, or you'd collapse without oxygen. But you need to first put the oxygen on yourself before you can help others.
Very true.
So that reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where did you have directors and musical people that helped you with that?
Yeah. What's amazing was that these are just ordinary, everyday people who are so humble, so down to earth, and the talent and skills that they have as well and what they bring to the party was amazing. I was just so surprised. The writer. Now, I have utmost respect for the writer and for his inspiration as a human being and his continual humanitarian work.
Yes. No, that's wonderful. I know the writer, and he is very inspiring. So we need to go for a break, but it's been very inspiring.
Thank you.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. We'll be back after the break. Hello, welcome back to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Luciana Gagliardi. Hi, Luciana.
Hi,
Welcome
Geraldine.
back. You were talking about your involvement with the theatre, and I also, besides, I know you've been involved in the costumes, and I just also noticed you had a chain and it said Dream. So has that got any connection with theatre, the chain?
Yeah, definitely. This necklace was given to me quite a number of years ago, and I honestly haven't taken it off since, unless I needed to. And I just thought, right, I'm just going to follow the dream. And the dream was definitely to get into the theatre side of life. And it wasn't about, you know, getting on stage and saying, hey, look at me. It was another form for me to translate messages and send those messages to the audience in a different kind of way than what I do every day, but also very liberating for me. And so the dream is definitely still something I chase and still continue to do.
Yes, I'll go back to your dream, but before I do that, I was just asking how it must be quite challenging at times to be a single mum and have two sons and do theatre. How do you manage to juggle that?
I think sometimes you've got to make some time for yourself and what you enjoy doing. And if you do that, the fulfillment is just amazing. That's the reward itself, is just seeing the end results and knowing that you've helped someone, or you know, creating, like theatre, there's so many people involved in creating a show or a production that at the end of it, it's just a feeling that you just don't get any other time. And to be part of that and set aside time during the year to be part of that, it's just that one, it's like a few seconds of just enjoyment and fulfillment. And I'd rather spend the whole year working towards those few seconds. I would do it in a heartbeat. Anytime.
That's right. Well, they say that a happy mother, a happy actress, and means that you'd be a happy mother, and then you'd be able to deliver being a mother well, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. I think you're a leader in your own home. So you want to show your children that, you know, if you really want something in life, you have to get off your, you know, backside and do it. Just follow it. Just work hard towards it. It just doesn't come and to a point where it just lands on your lap. You have to go to it. And I think it's inspiring the kids to see that nothing comes without hard work.
Yes, and me being part of the theatre group, I've noticed that you've always been a very good mother and you've put them as priority, and yet you've managed also to put the theatre group as a high priority.
Absolutely.
So you've juggled it well.
Yeah.
Yes. And coming back to your dream, what would you suggest to people following your dream?
What would I suggest to people following my dream? To follow their own. Don't waste another moment. You know, if there's something that's telling you to go ahead and explore it, then explore it. Just do it. It just opens up another world, and you learn so much about yourself. And there's something that I did read a long time ago, and it was from Nelson Mandela, and I probably aren't going to say this correctly, but, you know, when you shine, you give others the permission to shine as well. So I think it's just that kind of domino effect. So
that's great.
It's what I live for.
And I hear you're going to be shining as Mary Magdalene in The Prostitute Saint musical.
Yeah. That's certainly going to be a show. Yes, I am, and I'm really looking forward to bringing this one on stage. The character is just something that I can relate to, and I think that this will feel quite real.
Yeah, that's great. And are rehearsals starting soon and auditions?
Yes, rehearsals are starting soon, so there you go, send time aside for that. Absolutely, so that will be in the next few weeks.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So people can just go on the website or something to...
Yep, they can go on the website if they'd like to join, and certainly we take on board more people because the more we have, the easier and lighter the work is. But also it's not about them helping us, it's helping them as well, and that's what it's about. And just developing skills, talents, relationships and learning. It's just one big family. Yeah,
it's a great sense of belonging, isn't it?
it is.
And you take the theatre group takes people of all walks of life and
Absolutely.
disabilities and abilities.
Absolutely, and that's what's wonderful. You don't feel like you're an outcast, that you're included rather than not included. So that's what I love, is that I am challenged by the personalities that are there. That helps me to learn and understand. And being a bit more aware.
And what does your character communicate to the world?
That even a sinner can be redeemed and forgiven. And I think there's a lot of us out there that may carry something inside of us and need to believe that you are forgiven if you choose to be forgiven, if you choose to open your heart to God. You will certainly be forgiven.
And does that also mean forgiving others?
Absolutely. It certainly is, and yet it is one of the hardest things to do, is to forgive others, to genuinely forgive others. It's easy to say, hey, I'm sorry. But it's got to come from the heart, and that's where it's the hardest.
And I suppose you can ask for higher power, God, to help you forgive. If you're not able to forgive, there's that power.
To show the way to forgiveness.
Yeah, and the strength to forgive. And what about forgiving yourself? Is that part of forgiveness?
Definitely. You know, if you're carrying still guilt, then it's very hard to forgive anyone else.
Wow, you've had so much to share. You've had a very rich life. Would you be okay to come next week and be interviewed again?
I'd love to. Bring it on.
Well, till then, goodbye and God bless you.
Thank you, Geraldine.
It's been great having you in our show.
It's an honour. Thank you.
You've been watching Spirit of Life. Tune in next week. Goodbye and God bless you.
Bring it to birth and blow where you will. Blow, blow, blow till I be but breath of the Spirit.